Hello, my name is Suzanne Johnson. I'm a therapist in Clinton Township, Michigan. I've been a therapist since 1986. The topic of this interview is how to overcome anxiety or uncertainties about whether to seek therapy, especially if you've never sought therapy before. First of all, it's really rather common. You don't know the person, you've not experienced it before, but it can be one of the most helpful things you've ever done in your life. And I noticed people often say to me, "Oh, I probably should have sought therapy years ago." So it does take time to be ready. I think in our society, we think we should do everything ourselves, pull ourselves up by our own bootstraps, but that's usually not possible. A lot of times there's small traumas, big traumas that hold us back, and we do need professional help. And tends to be the people who want therapy are highly sensitive people. They're more they think more deeply, but they're also a little more prone to anxiety, which makes it a little more prone to anxiety about starting therapy. Now, if you do seek therapy, it doesn't mean you've lost control over what will happen in a therapy session. That's very important for you to know. You can educate your therapist about what you need. If you feel the therapy is going too fast, if you feel there's just more emotion that you can handle, everybody's different, and the therapist wants to know how you feel and what's helpful for you and what's not helpful for you. And related to this, you can control how much you open up to your therapist, how quickly you open up to your therapist. It's not necessary to tell the therapist everything all at once. It can be overwhelming to both of you. You want to test the therapist out. Is the therapist empathic? Is the therapist understanding? Is the therapist patient? Let yourself have time to develop a trusting relationship. Not every client and therapist are good matches for each other. Every therapist has different personality, different styles. You can usually tell within one or two, 3 sessions. You can feel free to let the therapist know it's not working out and seek with someone else. Some therapists offer free 15-minute consultations, and sometimes you get an intuitive sense during that. You may feel embarrassed to share experiences and feelings, but remember, therapists are rarely judgmental. If you feel one is judgmental, I would recommend not to see the therapist, or bring it up, because sometimes you may think the therapist is judging you and the therapist isn't. I had that happen with one person. I was so surprised that she felt that way, but she didn't bring it up, and I didn't think to ask her how was she feeling about the therapy session. So that was a lesson for me to learn. Therapists are far from perfect. We all have our own issues. Some of us have the wisdom of seeing our own therapist. So just don't look up to them too much. Consider the consequences of another very important point is consider the consequences of not getting therapy. Especially if you had a quite dysfunctional family upbringing. The research shows that if you don't get therapy for yourself, that kind of upbringing can bring about long-term mental problems, relationship problems, and serious health problems. You get stuck in life and you really can't move forward like you want to, and your abilities could take you. If you feel you can't afford therapy, check to see if if you're working for a company, has an EAP, Employee Assistance Program, because they are free sessions, 3 to 25 free sessions each year. Also, I have a list of free resources. If you can't afford therapy, I'll put a link below this video that you can check out. And I found on the internet, it's called A Therapist for Every Budget. And I'll put a link to that website below. I haven't really checked it out, but it talks about depression support groups, anxiety support groups, bipolar support groups, sobriety support groups, OCD support groups, PTSD support groups. It's at healthline.com. It looks promising. So another point is that, of course, therapy will probably at some point trigger uncomfortable feelings and painful memories. It is hard work, especially if you have complex trauma, which many people do. As one therapist told me many years ago, if you have buttons that can be pushed, don't blame the person who's pushing your buttons. Instead, work on yourself until you have no buttons to be pushed. There's a phrase with much truth called, "You have to feel to heal." There's a quote from the Adult Children of Alcoholics Dysfunctional Families book called, quote, "People want to recover, but they prefer it to be pain-free." That's understandable, but unfortunately, identifying and feeling your feelings is a part of healing. People are afraid that they are too fragile and they will fall apart. But feelings and hues are signals to tell you what you need. End of quote. Most important, keep in mind that processing painful memories have the possibility of helping you feel lighter, more positive and peaceful than you have ever felt before in your life. The pain of working through things in therapy does not last forever, but the payoff is good for the rest of your life. So in summary, I want to encourage you to give therapy a chance. You have nothing to lose, even if it doesn't work out for you as you had hoped. You gain more experience in communicating with someone and you're taking care of yourself. On the other hand, therapy may help you far more than you even hoped it would. This has been true for many of my clients. I'd also recommend that you seek a therapist who knows how to do EMDR. I think that makes the therapy more effective. So those are my thoughts. I hope you find them helpful and have a good day.